Steve Ratner's with us. Steve, so the city, we came in yesterday, and parts seem to be a little more quiet than usual. But I'll tell you what, we got across most of the city and had that really nice, sweet, comforting sound of like honking horns and traffic jam. So it looks like New York's starting to come back.
Yeah, New York has really opened up. The restaurants are open at full capacity. The restaurants are jammed, can't get a reservation. There are people out and about. The Metropolitan Museum this weekend had 10,000 people waiting outside in the rain to try to get in on Sunday. Yeah, it's very much back, but with an asterisk, which is people are not back in their offices. And so offices are 10, 15, maybe 20% occupied at the moment, which means Midtown during the business week is not what it was before. A lot of restaurants still closed for lunch, things like that. But people are dying to get out, and they're getting out.
And why aren't the offices opened again?
They're going, well, this is much debated. Is it because the people don't want to go back or because the employers are being more careful? There's a little bit of both. We've been reopened for several months now. We have most of our people back 3 days a week. But it's coming slowly, and work's going to change. There is going to be more work from home relatively indefinitely. Relatively indefinitely.
Yeah, Rev, what are you feeling about the economy from what you say?
It's certainly people are moving around more. But the fact that we lost so many small businesses, which were jobs, the fact that you have a lot of homelessness that is very apparent. Now, how do you shift those that were in shelters, put in motels, back to shelters? There's going to be some serious.
I mean, that's going to be a challenge for the next mayor. And we've talked about this. You have people that homeless that moved into hotels, vacant hotels.
Treatment.
Some with real mental health challenges, and now tourists are going to come back, and the hotels are, they're going to need to make money or they're going to lose their business. So how's the next mayor going to get the people that have ridden COVID out in those hotels back out and treat them?
And the challenge for people like me and civil rights is the way they are going to do it is they're going to use police, which is going to inevitably lead to some type of interaction that may be something less than what we want. But you can't ask motel owners to just give up their space and become a shelter, because that's not what they're in the business of. It's going to be those kind of management problems that we're going to see in the city on the ground, as well as a growing body of unemployed people, because these small businesses are not there. They're not coming back.
Yeah, Rev's right about the small businesses. If you walk outside my building, our diner closed, our dry cleaner closed, and our barber closed. And some of them scrambled and found other ways, but a lot of those just go away.
Not coming back.
There is celebration in the city right now for good reason. People are out. If you go to Central Park this afternoon, it's just booming. I mean, everybody's out there. They're happy. But there's going to be a lot of residual pain in New York and cities across the country.
And the people who were lost during this, either lost economically or lost their lives. And Steve Ratner, with crime going up, you're looking at what's happening in the gun industry. But, I mean, already crime is going up, and then this factor.
Yeah, crime is going up. And look, we've talked about guns a lot on this show, and it's sad to have to talk about it again. But when you see what's going on out there in terms of gun use, gun purchases, and so on, we really need to talk about it. So, got some charts if you want to have a look. So let's take a look first at gun sales. We use FBI background checks as a proxy to get more real-time data, and you can see that this is through the first 4 months of the year of each year through April, and you can see they were kind of sitting at a plateau of 8 to 10 million applications, and then in 2020 it jumped up. And then in 2021, it has jumped up to record levels in terms of people getting applying for gun permits. And one of the things that's sort of an interesting fact about this is that of the first-time gun purchasers, roughly 20% of them, 40% were actually women. So it's not only your stereotypical black male. A fifth of them were black, a fifth of them were Hispanic. And we are now up to a point where 40% of all American households own guns, and that's up from 32% just a few years ago. Now, gun sales often spike after big events, and part of it is out of fear of regulation, that they think the time has finally come, we're going to have gun regulation. So after the George Floyd murder, after the Capitol insurrection, after things like that, you get a jump in gun sales. But if you take a look, we had a mass murder not too long ago in Florida, and if you take a look at what's happened to mass shootings, you see something even more interesting. So the first two lower lines are 2017 and 2018, and this is the number of mass shootings in the course of a year. So it tracks it from the beginning of the year to the end of the year. And then you see in 2019, which is the orange line or the yellow line, that it jumped up a bit. But then look what happened in 2020. It set a new record of over 650% higher than in 2019. And you can see on that turquoise line that it began to spike right about the time the pandemic hit. So the pandemic seems to have had played a big role in this huge increase in mass shootings. And then the black line is what's happened so far this year. And you can see that we're again tracking well ahead of where we were last year. As the pandemic ebbs, it will be interesting to see whether this drops off or not. But right now, it is at very, very high levels. And people attribute a variety of factors to this. The pandemic caused people to lock down. Schools were closed. Kids were not in school. They were out on the streets. A lot of stuff happened that we all wish hadn't happened. But the other thing that's happening that you guys just alluded to is the murder rate. And so the murder rate, as you know, for many years was coming down. For several decades was coming down. And again, we don't have national data yet. But if you look at what's happened on a city level, year to date, first 4 months of the year approximately, you can see that it was pretty flat in Chicago for a good while. It was flat in New York, although creeping up a little bit in Philadelphia. But then look what happened in 2021. It just took off. And again, we can debate what's going on out there, but the facts are pretty incontrovertible. You've had a huge increase in murders. And so last year, 2020, we actually had the same murder rate across the whole country that we had in 1998, 20 years ago. Nowhere near the peak back in the worst of it, in the earlier in the 2000s, but pretty bad. And then you can see it's been coming back up, and we'll see where it goes from here. But Joe, look, after all these years, the idea that we go through this, we see these statistics over and over again, they get worse and worse. You now have, in addition to the mass shootings, in addition to the increase in gun ownership that we've been watching for a while, now you start to see murder rates and other use of gun violence in cities going up. And the question is, when are we going to do something about this?
Well, I'd love for you to get a chart, make up a group of charts, because I heard the number one time, and I just don't know how accurate it is. But an extraordinarily low percentage of crimes are committed by people who use the gun that they purchased legally. The overwhelming majority of crimes are committed by people who use guns that they got illegally or that they didn't purchase themselves. And so I've been hearing over the past couple of days people blaming the rise in crime to people purchasing more guns over the past year. Yell at me if you want. Go after me on Twitter. I don't see that. And that's based on, growing up in the South, growing up in a gun culture. I own guns myself. I go, the gun shops myself, and you go in there and you see who's in there. These aren't people that are like saying, "Hey, let's go down to Miami and shoot the place up." A lot of women, a lot of older people of all demographic groups, and the first basically run on guns and run on ammo came during the COVID lockdown. And people, sort of afraid what's going to happen next, or have sort of this apocalyptic thinking. And there were a lot of people. You said 40% were women that went to get guns?
Of the new buyers.
Of the new buyers.
Yeah.
And again, new buyers, women. It breaks a stereotype. If somebody has a stereotype, they think, oh, it's just young black men. Well, and on the other side, they think, oh, it's just a redneck that's a survivalist. No, that's not what gun owners looked like this year. And so that's why I think if you're trying to make that causation problem between new gun ownership and crime that's going there, history is going to prove, not you, but just prove you wrong if that's your argument, because that's just not what was happening this year.
That may well be, but what I can show you next time, if you want, or some other time, is a chart that shows you that there's a direct correlation between the number of guns owned per capita and looking at countries around the world and the amount of crime that use of guns illegally occurs. And Australia is a famous case where they put in very strict gun regulation, cut the number of guns substantially, and use of guns and violence went down substantially. So I'm not saying there aren't a lot of illegal guns out there doing a lot of illegal things, but there is a correlation between the number of guns floating around out there and what actually happens.
Rev, what do you think?
I think that that is why we need to have some form of gun legislation in terms of ID and background checks. Because, again, if what you say is so, and I think that his data will back it up, that the people that are going in gun shops and all that are legally buying guns are not the problem, that's all the more reason why we need to have background checks and more stringent laws in terms of how we deal with gun manufacturers and distribution and all, because we're not dealing with people that are clearly saying, I can identify who I am, I have the right kind of background. We are dealing with people that can't do that, but because we're not having real laws coming down on that to distinguish between the two, this is growing rather than shrinking.
Well, and you right now, again, if you go into gun shops and you have to give your ID, you've got to fill out your forms. You give it to them, and if you don't have if you don't have a carry permit, you're going to wait a week, right? And so you go back in, and the next week you get your gun. But the problem is, Willie, what happens when you have somebody showing up at a parking lot and they open up the back of their trunk and start selling guns, which of course happens, and also you have the gun shows. I mean, there are exceptions to this, and I think that's what 90% of Americans want: universal background checks.